Oh, hello, everybody, and thank you for listening to Hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter. As you know, it is announcement day, and we are making a major announcement today. I've been teasing this on my Instagram all week long, and I'm so excited that I finally get to reveal it. I finally get to mention it all. And that is that me and Adam Newell from Up and Adam are teaming up. We're joining forces, and we're going to be spilling some tea. We are officially kicking off our mini podcast tour this spring. We're inviting a lot of familiar faces, so get ready. We have a lot of surprises in store. You're not going to want to miss out. We're kicking things off April 7th at the Bourbon Room in Los Angeles. You can get your tickets right now, and you're going to want to act early because only a limited number of tickets are available to Spilling Tea with Zack and Adam Live. You can get your tickets right now at spillingtealive.com. spillingtealive.com. We have general admission tickets, so if you want to come and watch the show, but we also have VIP tickets with a fun pre-game before the show where you get to come hang with me and Adam and some of our friends, have some No Filter Rosé. That's right, you will be able to get No Filter Rosé for the first time in person with me and Adam. It's going to be the new rosé too, so you're going to try the rosé or the white, whichever vibe you're feeling that night. But head over to spillingtealive.com so you can get your tickets. Los Angeles, the Bourbon Room, April 7th. We will see you there. You're listening to Hashtag No Filter with Zack Peter. That's me, your naturally platinum blonde pop culture connoisseur. I'm the reality TV junkie, self-improvement addict, and host with only the hottest tea spilled fresh weekly. For more hot takes, go and give me a follow at Just Plain Zack. I always keep it funny and I always keep it cute. And if you're like me and you want to stay up to date with the latest reality tea, then just go and give us a follow at No Filter with Zack on the Instagram, or you can always join our private Facebook group. The link is in the description below. I hope you are sipping on some fizzy Housewives-inspired rosé for yourself. Today, I've got out my I Stole Kim's Goddamn House, inspired by Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, even though we probably know at this point Tom Girardi probably stole it. You can stock up at nofilterwine.com, 14% alcohol by volume, but less than a gram of sugar. We got 4 fun designs, so head over to nofilterwine.com. All right, today's guest I'm really excited about. She's a hilarious New York Times bestselling author of You'll Never Blue Balls in This Town Again and My Inappropriate Life, and she's always equipped with that juicy scoop. Please welcome Heather McDonald.
Hi.
How are you,
Thank you for having me, Zack. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I'm glad that we could finally make it happen.
I love Juicy Scoop. I mean, you are one of like the top like pop culture podcasts, and you've been doing it for so long. Like before Brandi Glanville thought that she could do podcasts, it was Heather McDonald.
No, I actually, you're wrong on that. Brandi had one before me.
She did?
Yes, and I was a guest on hers probably maybe a year or so before I started mine. In fact, when I was a guest on hers, I didn't even know how to listen to a podcast. And so afterwards, I would do other people's podcasts, and I was just like, what is this? You know, I don't even know how to. And then someone would be like, oh, I was listening to it. And I'm like, oh, how do you know, it was like, so yeah, but Juicy Scoop started 6.5 years ago. So yes, now it's been a long time, and, you know, the space has grown, and I love that so many other people are into the same thing I'm into and have taken their own take on it like you. And it's just makes it all that much more fun.
What do you think about Housewives now trying to jump into the podcast market? Like LVP has a podcast, Bethany has a podcast. Do you feel like it lowers, you know, their like television, you know, because like Bethany thinks she's like the next Gary Vee. She thinks she's Tony Robbins, but then she does her podcast with like no makeup and a bun, a messy bun.
You know, I feel like what is great about podcasting is that everybody in the universe could have a podcast. So just like everyone in the universe could have an Instagram account. So if someone wants to have one, I don't want to be that person that's like, you're not good enough to have it, or you don't have the talent to have it. Or I do think comedians and journalist type people strive the best in the space, because it does take work and opinions and talent and creativity, and that's why a lot of them start to do it. And I think people want to do it because oftentimes people that are on my show get such a great response. Literally, I mean, if I was to go down the list of the amount of people that were on my show and then got a podcast shortly after because people approached them and was like, you should have your own show. That's great. I can make most everybody seem interesting and fun. Not everybody can be interesting and fun every week, not run out of personal stories to tell, not run out of interesting guests that they can keep interesting. And the more people that all have their own podcasts, the less that having guests I think having guests is going to be less important because we've heard your story. Right. You already have a podcast. We don't need to have you. I don't need to hear you on this person's thing.
I agree. And when you have that fine balance, like it works. And I think that's why Juicy Scoop your Facebook group, Heather, is like insane with how many people are like so engaged and active and constantly spilling the tea. It's impressive. It really is.
Yeah. I started Juicy Scoop Obsessed Facebook group years ago because I was doing stand-up and I went to a bar after, and I kind of rarely like go out and party after the show. I do meet and greets, but pretty much when that's done, I'm just like, okay, let me go home, whatever. And I was out with these girls and I forgot the city, but they were starting to meet each other and exchange numbers to like become platonic girlfriends and stuff. And I thought, oh my God, I should have a place that they can meet, and then from the Facebook group, I kind of created this like funny idea, like we're going to have sororities, and OC was the founding chapter, which was so funny. And I think the person from OC said it like, oh, we're the founding chapter of the Juicy Scoop sorority. And then I kind of ran with the idea, and like OC in Chicago, like actually sticks with it, and they actually like see each other and have brunches and stuff. But I think that's what's kind of great about it, is just that they're able to find each other. Listen, keeping the Facebook page is hard, and it's the most thankless job. And I don't think the members realize that like we don't make money off that Facebook page,
and it's work.
And people get mad, and they get, they write to me, and I'm like, there's 35,000 people in the group. Like, if I didn't post your thing, it's because it was already posted. It's not juicy, or I just decide I don't want it in my group. Like, I just, and some people get mad about it, and, they write a long thing. I'm leaving. I'm like, okay. Like, there's a million other things that you can do. I give you 2 shows a week plus a Patreon every Friday. Like, if you don't want to be part of this dumb it's just a Facebook group. Like, don't get butt hurt.
Yes. It's so funny. I mean, people get so sensitive on social media. It's wild.
Yeah.
So I want to do a round of Shady Spitfire with you with these the things that we're talking about on Housewives, and we need your hot takes. Heather, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, first one. Did Meredith know Jen Shah was going to be arrested by the feds? Is that why she didn't get on the bus that day?
Ooh. That's such a hard one. I kind of think no, she didn't, because I feel like the producers didn't. I think they were tracking Jen's phone, and so they knew that was the location. And I mean, I really think they're about breaking this case, the FBI. It's not about the fact that she's a housewife.
Right.
I think they were onto it many years prior to cracking down on her. But of course, becoming the housewife just made it that much more intriguing for them to probably pursue. Did she know? I think when she found out on camera, she already knew, but that could have been that a producer or I don't know. I mean,
It's interesting that you say that they were tracking their phone, because everyone's like, oh, somebody tipped them off. A producer tipped them off, or one of the cast members tipped them off. But that's the most logical thing is that they would be tracking her phone because they've been following her for years. They've been investigating her since prior to her even beginning filming for Salt Lake City.
Yeah. I mean, I think that she's guilty. I think she will do some time. And I guess if I was facing time like that, I'd want to have some fun on the Housewives too. So do I blame her for staying on it and living her life like, tomorrow may not happen? Because it might not happen. Yeah. So live your life like you're going to prison like Jen Shah is what I say.
That's the motto of 2022. Speaking of, should Erika Jayne give up the $750,000 diamond earrings that are in question at the moment?
I mean, I think if that was just one thing and this could make it go away, she'd be like, oh my God, take these fucking earrings. I don't care.
Yeah.
But I think legally she's doing what she's being advised to do. And, when someone wrote like, well, she hasn't even tried to do a fundraiser. And the thing is, when you're involved in like a big lawsuit like this, like my sister is a criminal defense attorney. And, when there's like a horrible story of like, some these two families were best friends, and then someone got in a car accident, and the person driving got in a car accident and killed whatever the child of the other person's family. And then you hear the other family's like, and we didn't hear from them after. Well, their child's under criminal investigation. You're already in a lawsuit, and then the attorneys say don't talk to each other. Yeah. So I think I'm shocked that she. In her case, I don't know that I would have stayed on the show, but now in retrospect, just like Jen Shah, live your life like it could be your last
and make your paycheck.
Don't get rid of that paycheck. And she wasn't sensitive about it because she isn't sensitive.
Yeah, I
don't think she cares.
It's very on brand for her.
Yeah, I don't think she cares that these people were screwed out of money. I think she's like, that sucks for you, but I think she consciously doesn't feel at all responsible for it. And I think it's going to be a very hard thing to prove if she was aware of it, because to me, it makes more sense that she took all that was given to her, all that she was allowed to take, and she did not ask how the money was getting made. Yeah. But then other people said, no, she was at the law firm sometime. Still, was she going over legal papers and seeing checks come in and cutting that's the part of it where I think in the end, I think that she might get away with it. But this last thing that just got dismissed, it's just going to be reinstated in California.
Yeah. It's not much of a win for her other than the fact that it might speed up the process and be less expensive for her in the end. But I mean, it's not ending anytime soon, especially with him, in his old folks' home with his pretend amnesia. Has Meredith really slept with half of New York, as Lisa Barlow revealed on Salt Lake City this week?
No, but I think I'm obsessed with the fact that she and Jen did share a guy that they both boned. And that guy also, the rumor is that he boned a few other housewives in New York. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that. Do you know who the guy is? He was featured in the show with Ramona.
Oh,
somebody sent me the photo. I don't know his name, but I saw the photo. And if this is in fact him, he was featured on the show at one of those, parties. And
is he
nothing great?
Is he worth the community dick?
No, but here's the thing. I'm going to tell you, Zach.
Tell me.
As a woman of a certain age, there's not a lot of great dick out there after a certain age.
No.
That's available with money, that's fun, that can dress, and that wants to screw you. So the attention is nice. And the in was probably that, and also these reality stars get drunk with fame. Drunk.
Yeah.
Okay. They love it. And it's a little bit shocking because I've interviewed a lot of them and they're like, I remember I had Big Ed on from 90 Day Fiance and he's like, wow, you have more Instagram followers than I do. That's something I don't see a lot.
Wow.
And, and I was just kind of like, I've only been doing this for like a million years. I'm sure he has more than me now because that's just something I don't like overly push.
Right.
But like, and then I've been out with housewives and they're like, oh my God, you got recognized and I didn't tonight. This is insane. And I told my friend that and they're like, are you offended? I go, no, because I don't have an ego of a reality star. I have the ego of someone that's been humiliated on stage as a stand-up comedian and that continued to get up. So even if I have a little bit of fame and good times, I'm still that person that, had to work really hard to have anything. And I think when things are just handed to people, it's just, to me, psychologically fantastic to analyze. Yeah. Because some people handle it okay, but the most handle it horribly. And it's like, that's why I keep saying I would love to have a show called Reality Rehab, but it is not about drugs and alcohol. It is about getting ready for your addiction to fame. Like I was just watching the second season of Cheer and how these kids are still at their stupid, junior college and cheering away, but they're now famous from the show, but they got no money for being on the show. So they're doing cameos, which they should, but where are they going to be in 2 years? Like I said, there's people from 90 Day Fiance. I'm like, I don't care about that anymore. Like, I'm over it. Like, good for you. I'm glad you had your fun. I'm glad you sold your farts. Like, I don't know.
Not all of them know how to have that career longevity, which brings me to my next one. Who are you more excited to watch on Celebrity Big Brother? Cynthia Bailey from Atlanta or Teddy Mellencamp from Beverly Hills?
I mean, I have to say, of all the housewives, did they pick two kind of like least exciting ones? I mean, it's no Brandy Glanville, it's no Lisa Vanderpump, it's no Ramona Singer. I mean, it's I mean, now that you say it, the two of them together, I'm like, that's not a super exciting pairing. I'm kind of surprised Teddy did it. Being that she has
nothing else really. Well, I mean, she has her two keys in a pod.
The only thing is, I'm sorry, and this is me being judgy mom. I've always thought if I was asked to do something like that, I always was like, oh, I could never be away. Like, you have to be away from my kids.
Yeah.
And she has little kids. Now, I worked full time, but I got to come home every day. And the longest I was away was 10 days when I filmed White Chicks. And I had a baby at home and I was just like, I had a full like meltdown. And so I just think it's different. Like, even if you're on a movie set, like your nanny can bring your baby to you. So I just kind of, and I'm not judging her. The kid won't remember. She'll be fine. And if she walks away with, what do they get in the end? Like 500,000? So it's probably worth it. And she could maybe win. I mean, I think she's smart. So when I heard the rumor, my first thought was, I think it's a rumor because her youngest is so young.
Yeah.
And she might not want to leave her. But if, I don't know, how long is it? Just 30 days? I guess she'll be fine.
I mean, I don't think she'll make it all the way to the end. I think
you're right. The thing is, but that's the thing, people always want to quit.
Yeah.
And I think they must get paid. And I'm not sure. But if I was the head of Big Brother, I would say you get paid each day you stay. Because everybody's going to want to quit.
I think that's what it is. You get paid the longer you stay. And you get like an advance if you make it to like the top three or the top two. So it's still worth it in the end for at least doing as many of those days. Okay, what about Jenny Nguyen? She blames her social media manager for the controversial post that went out on her Facebook page. And then the social media manager came out and said, no, it wasn't me. It was a hacker. Who posted the controversial post? Jenny, her Facebook manager, or the hacker?
Wait, so that girl that was like saying I'm going live or whatever.
Yeah.
Then she said it's a hacker?
She said it was her social media manager. And then the person, she didn't even out the social media manager, but the social media manager outed herself and said, no, yes, I used to run her Facebook, but a hacker took over the account at that time. And a hacker's the one that posted these controversial posts, which, first of all, as a social media manager, you don't want to out yourself as getting your clients' Facebook accounts hacked, number one. And number two, like, you didn't even need to come forth and reveal yourself and then blame a hacker.
Well, yeah, I think that's about the juiciest thing of this whole thing. Because when I first saw it, I just said, Yeah, I believe that at this time, Jenny saw these things and was impassioned to post them.
Yeah.
Which is not cool.
Yeah.
And not smart of her. And then I thought that she said, I deleted my Facebook account in 2020. So then my question was, well, who was holding on to this? Like, Vanessa Williams' naked penthouse photos. Like, who was holding on to this whole time? But then people wrote, no, it was available to be seen at this whole time. So are you telling me the Bravo people never bothered to do like a 10-minute scamming of her stuff?
All the networks now have to do they hire third-party agencies to vet everybody's social media. And Jenny was only cast last year in 2021, so they had to have come across these posts. Maybe they were the ones that told her to take them down, or maybe she really didn't delete it, or she thought she deleted the Facebook page. I don't know, but she's basically saying it was the social media manager that did this. And the social media manager said, no, it was a hacker that posted these random things on her private Facebook profile. Which to me, none of it makes any sense.
So is she saying, though, that I wasn't even aware?
Yes, that's
I didn't even know how to get on my Facebook page. That's how clueless I am at 48 years old. Yeah, right.
She said, I'm a mom and I run. Yeah, she said, I'm a mom and I run multiple businesses. So I had to hire a social media manager to run my Facebook page. And I didn't even know that these posts went out.
And you hired this social media person before you were ever even a personality.
Exactly. It makes no sense.
Or on TV. No, this is what I think. That's how she felt.
Yeah.
That's how she felt. Her mind might have changed afterwards.
Yeah.
But she didn't bother to erase them. They came across her feed and she decided to either share it or screen grab it and post it herself, because they were like memes that were she organically posted. And she liked awful things too. And we all saw that during that time. Or somebody we knew and we were like, ew, someone that you follow and you're like, okay. And then you write your friend, okay, what's wrong with wackadoo over here? I'm kind of grossed out. And, you move on. So absolutely, I think that was her attitude. But her and Mary hating each other, I just think I think Mary's so freaking odd. And in last night's episode, she's just like, we're not all friends. She doesn't have friends.
Yeah.
She's not a nice person. She got thrust into being the head of this church that was all a scam. And I don't know if you saw, but we just visited the church.
I heard about it.
In Salt Lake City.
I heard about it. You were in the church. I heard it's very creepy.
We went around, we looked at it. And I mean, to me, it's just fascinating. And I love that on last night's episode, Heather Gay called her out.
Yeah.
And even Lisa Barlow called her out about this fake church. And I could never understand why. I still understand why Meredith, I think that was Lisa's frustration before her crazy rant, is I think that it's just very confusing why the two of them would ever hit it off.
Yeah.
Meredith, who's highly educated, the way she is, what do they have in common? What are they talking about?
People think Mary has dirt on Meredith, and that's why she has this blind allegiance to her.
Maybe. I mean, all the dirt's been lifted up. So what is there to say? I mean, when you said about their whole, having the whole thing that went on with what Lisa Barlow said, I mean, it is amazing and it's juicy. And I look back at Meredith and I'm like, hold on a minute. Your life has been turned upside down, and really for the better. I don't know. If I was her girlfriend from a couple of years back, I would have been like, shit, girl, you could have, had your separation, had your fun. Your kids would have never known.
Yeah.
But I think you were talked into doing this show. Oh, your little store on Main Street in Park City, YouTube will blow up. It hasn't. Okay. I've gone there the last 2 years. It's the same store. It has the same amount of inventory. It's cute. Nobody's buying anything.
Better than Envy?
I never went into Envy, but probably Envy is probably a little more my style as far as price point and clothing and stuff. But she's got expensive stuff. but I don't see like, I mean, granted, I only went there twice. She probably does fine. She probably does enough to, but now she's like putting in more touristy stuff so that when people go in there, they can buy like a Meredith Marks sweatsuit or a Brooks Marks sweatsuit or like these like pajama sets for $99. But like most of the items are like $500-$600 or like the jewelry is like a couple $1,000s. So I think that she thought that that would really blow up being on the show. But I think people are so much more overwhelmed with like her juicy personal life and everything going on with these crazy castmates. I just don't think she anticipated this is where she would be. I mean, yes, she's famous and it might be kind of fun when you go out to dinner, but like, I can't imagine like the stress and the trauma, honestly, that it's caused her life.
No,
like,
I can't either. I mean, it's really turned everything upside down. I mean, especially after this season with Lisa Barlow kind of turning on her and putting all her stuff on blast like that. Like, they don't, I mean, she even tweeted like she doesn't even understand why she's still on the show. And she's got no real relationships with anybody left on the show at this point, that I don't even understand what benefit she's gaining from staying on other than the money.
I mean, I guess then I think the way they do it, Bravo and the production companies, is they get you to a place that now you have the golden handcuffs. Now your personal life is shit. Now everyone knows every freaking gross, ugly thing, embarrassing. Your kids are already exposed, so they're already going to be a little fucked up from having a reality show mom. You might as well stay and clean it up next year.
Yeah.
You might as well stay, get your check. Oh, and then by year 4, you finally make some real money. So you might as well stay. Also, you know, if your business isn't blowing up, you can't leave after 2 years. I think they make it very hard contractually to leave.
I mean, well, Mary dipped out pretty quick though.
And I've heard by not going to the reunion, you miss out on a huge chunk of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, maybe it's not as much as like the Lisa Vanderpump, that when she didn't come, I think she really walked away from a lot, but she was at a very high yearly salary. Mary probably wasn't. So it was probably, I mean, I'm just going to guess. It's probably like she probably walked away from like 25, 30,000.
Yeah.
But she could make that at the Real selling, you know, a couple boxes of her crap in her house. So she's probably like, I would rather not risk what will go down at this reunion.
Listen, that's an easy mortgage she can get from one of the parishioners. She's fine. I
agree.
What did you think of the interview her mom did on Up and Adam about her basically being a victim, saying that he groomed her and showed all this money in front of her and got her to come over to marry him, even though it wasn't really what the grandmother wanted?
Well, I'm excited. I'm talking to Up and Adam, and I know you guys are close and collaborating and stuff. I have some questions because he also had the cousin.
Yes.
And so there's been some controversy between what the cousin said and what the mom said. I thought it was interesting that the mom was like, he wanted me. Like, she's like, he wanted me first. And, no, I don't think she wasn't so young, but listen, she definitely got sucked into the money and the lifestyle.
Yeah. And
it's pretty sad when you have nothing else going on that you would forgo love and everything. I mean, it's such a weird storyline. Like, she was gone for 3 years in New York getting plastic surgery, but then they said to the parishioners that she had a sweating problem, that she had to go get medical care for sweating in New York. and people better pay or they're not going to heaven if Mary doesn't stop sweating. I mean, like, it is so unbelievably bizarre. And now that she's gone, I'm kind of bummed because where do we go from here? Like, it's like, she's gone.
She was great. And she was, I mean, terrible person, but great television.
I mean, when they found her, they must have been like, holy, just this lady's life is going to be over with in a couple of years, but at least we get to capture the downfall. Like, do these producers ever just sit around and go, I cannot believe
she wasn't an original housewife though? Remember, she wasn't an original housewife when they had an original production company that filmed Salt Lake City, made Mary a friend of, and then when they delivered the footage to the network's like, no, rework this footage, and they brought in a new team to help re-edit everything, and that's when they decided to upgrade Mary. So the first production team didn't even think that she would be the hit that she is, which is wild to me because she's so kooky.
She's not a hit. Like there's hits that are like controversial, but people have their stand, like they stand them and they really like them. And, whether it's like a Ramona, like people are like, get rid of Ramona because she says, inappropriate things. But then like, what would the show be without her saying these things you can't believe she said, people like, enjoy her. I just feel like she's so not likable, but you're also like, I can't take my eyes away from it because it's so unbelievable that this cruel, awful person is, that's what I kind of liked about the episode last night is that they were like calling her on her, like, how are you like saying you believe in Jesus?
Yeah.
And I mean, that tagline, if you come for me, I'll send Jesus for you. Like it's the mafia. What are you talking? Like, she's so like not, and she isn't one of those people that like went to Bible college or anything. No. Like she doesn't know any way of analyzing the Bible. If that's what you're into, there's people that really study it and have a way of explaining it that's, enriching people's lives. She's just, So it is, I think she was smart to give up that money and get the hell out before she ends up in a cell with Jen Shah.
Yeah, she's like, things are not looking good for Jen. I'm not going down with her.
I think that's what she thought. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, because there was a lot of heat surrounding her church. And like, and the thing is, why not show up at the reunion where you have an opportunity to reclaim the narrative? Because her thing was, I didn't want to show up because they're all just spreading lies about me. But it's like, but if you don't show up, then they'll just continue to spread quote unquote lies about you. So at least you have an opportunity to share your side, which she didn't do. And I think it's because she knew that they weren't really lies and that they were actually going to bury her with the contradictions.
Right.
So a lot of people sent in some questions about some of your famous friends, Heather. Are you ready for these? Okay.
Sure.
Sophia Shepard wants to know what happened with you and the Kardashians because we don't see you at their holiday parties anymore. Did Tristan Thompson get to you too?
Hilarious. I've talked about it a lot. There's like nothing really to it except, I used to see them all the time when they'd come on Chelsea. We had a lot of mutual friends that worked with the Kardashians. I'd be invited to a lot of stuff. And then, they all started having their babies. So their mommy friends were like young people. And then I was still invited to like Kris Jenner functions, like her 60th birthday and all that stuff. But then when the Christmas party got switched to Kim and Kanye putting it up, Kris did come and like tell a group of us that we were no longer going to have the traditional Christmas party that she hosted, that it's smaller and that Kim's doing it. But there were so many of us that got the boot and I was like a party of 6. Like she always let me bring my kids, my husband and my mother-in-law. And the truth is it's like, I would have cut me too. I would have cut like, literally when we got cut, Peter was like, can you just tell her that we could leave the kids at home on Christmas Eve? I'm like, just, what it is. At first it was really like, I was bummed because I'd been going for 10 years and it was part of our family routine. And there was a group of people that just like any family Christmas party, you see these people, you may not see them the rest of the year, but like friends that I like adored, so I was sad because it's such a great party, but it just friendships in other ways. I have to say, though, they're in the news so much and they're so fascinating that by not having that close connection anymore, I like to speak my opinion more freely than I had throughout my years at Chelsea lately and everything. I was always, I always managed to talk about them in a funny, respectful way because I do have a great sense of humor. But once I was kind of like, okay, I'm not going to see them this weekend. So let me talk about what an awful Tristan Thompson is, and I wrote that when she was pregnant with True, and when it first came out that she cheated on her, but they were like, the family came down for the birth and there was all that kind of, I was doing a show in Nashville. And so I wrote this country song to like get people to come to Nashville. And it was like, I wrote it to that Carrie Underwood song. And I thought it was so funny and so great. And like, I tagged her and everything, or I don't know if I tagged her, but I did it. I don't think I tagged her, but I was like, I don't know, maybe things like that were like, Now we don't find that funny.
Yeah.
Even though I thought I was being like supportive. It's hard when you're like in it because you think you're being supportive. Like I remember I went to the Tristan and Kim wedding and not Tristan, sorry. Who was Kim's second husband?
Chris Humphrey.
Chris Humphrey. I went to that wedding and then, 73 days later they announced they're getting divorced. And I was working on Chelsea lately and Us Weekly like called me and were like, what do you think? And I was like, people should not criticize her. Like she wants to be a mom. She knows at day 73 that she doesn't want to procreate with him. She's at 30. She's smart to get out. And, I know women that have known not to get married. They're about to walk down the aisle and they do. So it's like, so I'm like, I totally believe that there might've been second thoughts about it, but that this was not made for TV. This was a real thing, but she realized later. So I think that's like being supportive person in Kim's corner. But then I think sometimes with them, then they think, oh, I now used this conversation to get my name
in the press
in Us Weekly. So that's why in having some celebrity friends and people asking me about it, because that would happen a lot. Like I'd be on the red carpet and they'd be like, Heather, tell us about Juicy Scoop and tell us about your book. And then I would. And then they go, and what do you think of Kim or what do you think of Chris and da 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 da? And I'd say something. And then the headline would be, Kardashian pal Heather McDonald says this.
Yeah. And then they barely mention the book and they barely mention Juicy Scoop. It's like one little mention. Yeah.
And I think that's like almost like that was like a fine line that like the Brittany Gastineau had to walk and the Larsa Pippen and then her Kim stylist that then started to get her own thing going. And, I thought it was fine that I did this whole article about myself and my career, but all the questions were about Kim. Working for Kim. Yeah. So like I kind of see that. And I think with each year that they progress, I think that they too, as a dynasty of entrepreneurs and people in the limelight, probably have learned with each person they hire, not just an NDA, but probably have more honest conversations of like, you can't be doing articles, you can't without, covering it with me first. And so I think that's just part of it, but it's all, they're great. I'm fascinated and so happy that they all are raising their children together. And I think Chris is the luckiest mom on earth,
For sure. Lots of questions about Chelsea and Jo Koy, because you commented when they first announced their relationship, I think on her Instagram. So did you always know that there was something going on between them? Did you think they would end up in the end?
Absolutely not.
Really?
Absolutely not. There was never anything going on between them ever. There was never any interest on her part. It was always, just giving him shit like she did the rest of the comedians.
Yeah.
And that was the shtick. They never did anything like on their own outside of like a group stuff. But once I started to see some of the postings in the past year, I definitely thought it and said it and made some comments in which, like there was one, they were in Malibu hanging out. And I said, oh, congrats. I'm so glad you guys are boning. I just said that.
Yeah.
And then she wrote under there like, oh, Heather, I said if I was going to bone anyone from the round table, it would be TJ Miller or something.
Yeah.
And it was like buried in there. Like I never went back to check it. I don't, and so, but they were, they were back then. So like, no, I think it's great. I think it's like fun and I'm happy for them both. And, who knows?
Were you just as surprised? Because like I was surprised. Like obviously I remember Chelsea lately, and I remember Jo Koy being on the round table. But like I never would have like when it was official, I never would have seen them together. Were you just as shocked as all of us were? And what's your relationship like with them now?
I think yes and no, because it's like, she's dated a lot of different types of guys and stuff. Yeah. And so I think it's great that they're like in the same industry, that they're like the same age. I think it's a good, I mean, I think it might be a really good match and they seem to have fun. So I'm just happy for them.
They seem really
Just
happy.
happy that just happy. Everyone should just be happy. And then when you're not, get out, unless you're like me and you're married and then you just stay married forever.
Well, Lala Kent got out and people want to know if you've talked to Randall Emmett at all, because I guess you were close to both of them. Have you talked to, I know Lala was on your show recently, but have you had any communication with Randall since the breakup?
Just in the very beginning, when I didn't know that it, when nothing was confirmed and I thought it might have been a misunderstanding, I was talking to him as well. And then, once more came out and she was, very forthcoming with me about everything, then I think in those situations, you have to choose a side. And obviously I met Lala first. I'm protective of her as a girlfriend, as a mom. And, it's unfortunate. Honestly, it was such a sad thing because I really enjoyed them as a couple. I really thought they were just hanging out like very funny comedically together. And so I was surprised. Like when I heard the rumor, I was like, that can't be true.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't give it anything when it first started with the blogs. And I was like, well, wait a minute, what kind of evidence? Because I was sort of like, hey, you're in the limelight and these bloggers and these girls and like, who knows what's really true? But unfortunately it was. And so,
she just announced she's going on a date this week. Do you think she's ready to get back out there?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah. I think it's all good. She's done an amazing job with, finding a new place to stay. And thank God she's got her mom with her, living with her. I think she's extremely lucky to have that. And I'm sure her mom is getting the opportunity that she wouldn't have had, to be with a grandchild like at that young age. So I envy the mom that gets to do that. And so I think it's all, I think it's going to work out fine, but yeah, it's actually really sad, it's too bad, but I wish him well too. I mean, he's a dad of 3 girls and I hope he can continue to be, successful and do stuff.
Yeah. At least for the girls' sake.
Yeah.
Fit with Sam wants to know if you'd ever join a Housewives show. We've seen you with the girls on OC. You've hung out with them a lot. You're not far from them.
I actually want to move to the OC. I do. I'm never going to say never say never. I kind of think someone like me that they would maybe, I think the show may have a transformation in the next couple of years. And if it did, and it made sense, like when I was talking about watching Cheer and seeing that the kids are doing cameo and stuff, like I've been begging Bravo and to let us see their real lives.
Yeah.
Let us see their real lives, that they're now famous and how weird that is. Let us see the husband be like, this is fucking weird. I don't know if I like it. Like, I would love to just see the real thing. Maybe not all the time, but a few more glimpses of this real fight happened because we were both supposed to go to Mohegan Sun and do an appearance. And I found out that you called the booker and, got an extra $1,000 over me. Like, I would love to know that that was what the real fight was about.
Yeah.
And not that someone arrived 10 minutes late to their daughter's birthday party. Like, that's kind of, so if it became something where, it was a little more real like that, I'm definitely would be more open to do it now that my children are older. I do really think it's hard on kids, no matter how much you think it's not. When the housewives have to start doing storylines of talking to their daughter about getting on the pill. And, think about it. If you're a 15-year-old girl, do you want that forever? You know what? The one thing that always sticks in my mind that I thought was very difficult was Megan King Edmonds was on the show on OC, and she was close to Jim's first wife. They got along. And the first wife was dying of cancer. And that was just part of her reality. And Megan was close to that stepdaughter.
Mm-hmm.
So they had like a prom thing going on with all the cameras there. Every kid has this where you're in your prom outfit and your mom's like, take more pictures, come over here, take more pictures. And kids can be like, shut up, mom, a little bit like that. But that is on camera forever.
Yeah. The
mom later passes. That girl had to get social media notices of like, you were such a little shit. And she's 17 years old.
Yeah.
And I just don't think people think about that.
Yeah.
Like, think about growing up and having like some like ugly phase or it's okay if you're like the Giudice girls. Thank God Teresa stayed on so long because now they're all gorgeous and really come off great.
I think
but
Jacqueline Larita's daughter was doing interviews recently, Ashley, and she was saying like she had that awkward phase on camera where she was a real big brat and always fighting with her mom. And like now that's all anybody remembers her for are those awkward teenage years. But yet now she's like a mom and a makeup artist in New Jersey. But like everybody remembers that bad behavior. And she's like, she doesn't love that that's what the world knows her as.
I mean, I'll never forget, like I was watching an episode, my kid was so little, and I was watching when Gina Kino went and surprised her son with Vicky, and he was playing baseball with the cameras. And he's like basically said, I'm going to hit you over the head with this bat or get out of here or something awful. And I watched it and it was so horrible to me. And I just remember my kid was like in the bathtub, like he was like 6 or something. And I'm like, come on, time to get out of the tub. And he was like being defiant or something. I remember I was just like, I will not become Gino Kino whatever her name is, where you don't believe me or you don't, do what I say. And looking back at that, I'm like, this kid was trying out for baseball. Like when I would go to watch my kid play golf, I like can't look in his direction. I cannot cheer. I have to be quiet. I can't be embarrassing. I can't film him. Like, imagine now you're not even made aware and your mom shows up buzzed with her friend Vicky and a freaking camera crew and you're trying to play baseball. Like, and now on camera, we have you at 19 being really disrespectful to your mom forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
Like all of her kids have been brats.
Yeah.
They've all had it. So it's like, to make a long story thing, the fact that my kids are older and they're teenagers, in a couple years, when they're adults and they could show up for dinner and I'm filming something and they can be them, and they're not in jeopardy of like having, childhood scars from it. And also they're not making money from it either.
Yeah.
So that's all of it is more like, so many families get destroyed by it that like, I always feel like the people that do great are like the Carol Radswell, like don't have a boyfriend and don't have kids. Like they had fun, went on some trips, did it for 4 or 5 years and then it's over and their life is not scarred. They didn't like lose anyone because of it.
Right. Dr. Jackie F wants to know, I don't think you're going to remember this, Heather, but she wants to know what you thought of my stand-up back in the day. I don't think you ever saw my stand-up, but we did a show together back at the Laugh Factory for Jenny McCarthy's foundation I think it was like back in 2011. And so I posted this photo a couple months ago of you and I. And people, I look like a 40-year-old lesbian, and I look nothing like that now. But like, do you even remember that show?
Yes, because I remember Jenny was really good friends with Chelsea at the time. So I did a couple events. So I remember doing one in San Francisco.
Yeah, that one was like a big art show. I remember that one.
Did you do that one too?
No, I used to I used to run Jenny's foundation. I ran it for a few years.
So
I
then
was part of the team.
So you'll appreciate this story. So we're supposed to do, and I think it was Whitney Cummings, me, Josh Wolf, maybe one other person to do the San Francisco show.
Yep.
And I looked at the rundown and I saw that I was going to be third. And Whitney wanted to go earlier because she actually had a set somewhere else or whatever. And somehow I went and I said, Josh Wolf is so great. I don't want to follow him. Could I follow Whitney instead? Because I saw that there'd be 2 comics and then there was going to be a video and then another 2 comics. And I said, I know this video is going to be like pulling at your heartstrings video.
It's a charity event.
And I don't want to follow that. I'd rather just follow Whitney. And so then they're like, oh, okay, a little change of thing, Josh, you're going to go after Heather now. And he's like, all right, no problem. He was like, what the hell? And I don't know if I ever admitted to him, but I was like, yeah, I did not want to follow the freaking sad video.
Yeah.
Like,
because trust me, I did charity for a very long time. These events, you want people to cry watching these videos so that they give you their money. But that's the worst thing to follow if you have to go up and do a stand-up routine, is have to go on after one of those videos.
I think the only way to do it maybe is, I'm trying to think how you would do the sad video. Maybe I don't know, maybe you have to do it at the very end, or do it at the beginning and then have like a band, or like have like some music and then do comedy. I think comedy, it's got to all be one or nothing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think you can really combine the two.
You have to do the video at the beginning with like a little speech from like a founder or someone to make you feel good afterwards, but still kind of compel you to donate, and then be like, okay, now let's get the show on the road. And then you do the comedy.
Yes, you're right. Have someone be the interim where they're giving out information, but there's still a couple little light moments, like an MC.
Yeah.
And then bring on the comedy. You're right. So there you go. Lessons learned. TED Talk about how to do a comedy.
Right. Last question that got sent in was from Belle Game Mama, and she wants to know, are you coming to San Diego to do any of your live stand-up shows anytime soon? You're on tour right now, right? Or you're about to go on tour?
Well, I kind of finished like a tour that I did in the fall. I have Tempe this weekend. I don't know when this airs, but Tempe this Friday with Justin Martindale is going to be on. He's on my show all the time. He's you know who he is. It's hilarious. And that is February 4th and 5th. And then I have Brea Improv, which I've never done before, which that is March 25th, 26th, and 27th. And I probably won't be doing that many dates until I announce this fall tour that we're putting together, which will be like a whole new thing and a new hour. And hopefully that'll happen. And hopefully there won't be like a 3rd round of COVID, whatever.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I love San Diego, and probably like the La Jolla Comedy Store or something. I'll ask my manager, just because those are like fun, easy weekends. And I love not getting on a plane. So
yeah.
Yes, I will make sure that San Diego is in the next 6 months. I'll say that.
Yeah, no, Adam from Up and Adam and I are doing our own mini podcast tour, and like we're in this process of scheduling the dates. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to get on a plane and then jump on another plane right after and go. I don't know how you do the touring, Heather. It's,
get healthy, jam it out, don't drink, power through like a marathon.
Yeah.
And just do a great job and, knock it out and get it done. Also, then you're like on the momentum of doing the material too.
Yeah. Okay. To close it out really quickly, there are 4 Bravo books that are coming out this spring. You're a New York Times bestseller. I want to know if you predict these are going to be New York Times bestsellers or they're not going to hit the mark. Okay. First one is by Craig Conover, and it's called Pillow Talk: What's Wrong with My Sewing? And it's about his journey of finding his passion for sewing and how anybody can find their passion.
No, that's not going to do well at all. I don't think the other girl from Southern Charms book did that well.
Hers did better than Shep's book. Shep's book bombed.
Here's the thing that people don't know from the publishing world. Men don't read books unless they're about finance, sports, maybe like a true crime type of thing. They don't read memoirs. They really don't. Women do. So the guy writing the memoir has to be appealing enough to women. Now, he is on a Bravo show, but what kind of juicy scoop is that book going to have that we don't know already?
Especially if you're leading with sewing. I feel like sewing doesn't hook me.
I mean, look, he's smart to take the money. He's smart to have met with someone over a weekend to write down a story. Maybe there's something compelling in it. I don't know. I think what he should do is he should do a lot of live appearances to sell and make the book part of meeting him.
Ticket, yeah.
And because I just don't think people are going to be dying to read it just like on a Saturday night by themselves, like you might if Madonna wrote a memoir. You know what I mean? Like there's just more to her life and whatever. It's okay. What's the next one?
Bethany Frankel's Business is Personal, the truth about what it takes to be successful while staying true to yourself.
Well, she is a multi-number best-selling person. She has a huge platform, and I think that she does give good advice. And so I think it will sell well. I think people will. I don't know if in this book she also includes more juice about her divorce and more behind the scenes juice. If she is saving some of that for the book, then I think it'll do really well. But if it's just straight business, I still think it will do well.
I don't know if the Bravo
audience
has
the way to sell it. Huh?
Yeah, she's smart. She's a smart marketer. I'm not sure if the Bravo audience is interested in business advice necessarily more than they're interested in like the juice and the tea from her.
That's what I mean. Like, but so if two people had a business book, and I'm sure Barbara from Shark Tank has written one, like if you were a businesswoman though, or you wanted to read more about business and you're like 35, which book would you buy?
I mean, I would probably
businessman.
Or I would probably go with the Barbara book because that's like what that's her soul. Like for me, when I go to Bethany, like I go to Bethany for the personality and for the commentary and for, all those other things that make her such a great reality star. I don't know if I necessarily, because I've even been watching some of her business interviews lately, and she doesn't have amazing business advice other than I got on a reality show and I was smart, and I worked.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, the thing about it is it's like, the Trumps writing a book about business. Like you had an opportunity, like it's more interesting if it was really, yes, she did it herself, but 90% of this wouldn't have happened if she didn't have the platform to be on the reality show. Now it was smart to get on the reality show. But getting on a top reality show, it's like winning the lottery. Yeah. Once you're there, these are the smart things I did or didn't do or what I regret. I still think the book, still think she's really smart and an interesting person. So, and she knows how to write books. So I think that it'll still be a bestseller. She'll make sure it's a bestseller.
Yeah.
The other thing
even if she buys them herself. I learned that.
Well, here's some things about buying books about bestsellers, unless it's changed. You can only buy up to 10 books a person. Otherwise, it starts to look like a bookstore. Mm-hmm. So what people have done is they've had employees each buy 10 books. And that helps. And then, of course, the pre-orders are the most important thing. Because if you don't really get it, if you don't make it that first week, chances are you'll never make it. Also, because in these books, if you are spilling juice, like a Jamie Lynn Spears, what more juice do we need to read now? Like you've done an interview, it's been spilled. People have read the book and given book reports on podcasts. I don't need to read the book. So it's like, unless you get it in those pre-orders, because that person wants to read it that first Tuesday before everyone else has read it, then it's pretty hard to sell, to make the list. But she'll make the list for sure.
Okay, last one, which I'm curious just to know if you're even interested in it or you're going to read the headlines. Off With My Head, the definitive basic bitch handbook for surviving rock bottom by Stassi Schroeder.
Well, that one I think could be juicy. Like I wish that they would have had cameras following her when all this shit did go down, because it was a time in history that it was a time in history that was like a horrible time in history.
Yeah.
And she, and people were, wanted social justice, and the series of events and the fact that she did this podcast, a year and a half ago, and nobody caught it. Nobody saw how wrong it was until one person, almost like when that comedian was said in his act, Bill Cosby is a rapist, and someone filmed it and it was all out there. And then everyone just started going, oh my God. And it got like a resurgence. This was kind of like, she kind of got caught up in that. But I think she's smart with her money. And so she did fine. She didn't lose her house. Originally they said she lost her second book deal. Well, she didn't, because here it is.
Yeah.
And she couldn't have her stand-up or podcast tour stopped, but it was going to be stopped anyway because of COVID.
Right.
So, but it'll be kind of interesting to hear like if she's really raw about like, and then I, had to watch the show and I wasn't on it, or I couldn't go to this event because I wasn't a cast member anymore. Like if it's that kind of stuff, then I think it could be interesting. I think that'll do well. I actually think it'll do well.
The pre-orders have had her on at number 1 on all of the categories in the past few days. So there's definite
and that's
interest.
Another thing. She didn't get canceled. She didn't.
She did for like a week, and then she took a beat, and then now
I think people that really liked her still probably really like her.
Yeah.
And so and the people that didn't never really liked her anyway. But when you're in it, and it feels like the whole world is against you. And, and the way like the PR company and everybody like dumped her right away and all of this, because it was just like, oh my God, we cannot touch this pile of shit. Like we cannot even be associated. Don't even stand close to me. Like that part of it, is very interesting. And actually, now that it's old, who cares? Her PR person like called me and said, I would love for her to come on your show because I think that you can explain, and make, and I said, absolutely. I'd love to have her on and really get this perspective about it. And he said, oh no, okay, she's passed. She doesn't want to do it. Okay, fine. She goes on Tamara Hall.
Yeah.
Disaster.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, like
I think a podcast would have been a better forum for her, because Tamron Hall, it's what, a 7-minute segment that's, you're doing over Zoom, that, when it's the TV network on regular channels versus, the free forum of a podcast that's a 1-hour sit down interview, it's a totally different game, and people get more of an opportunity to get to see if you really have changed or see where you're at.
Right. And I just, and I was like down to really see her side of it and really let people like, I really wanted to just get into it. And I knew I would show her in a great light. And I knew that. And I also was like, we're not live.
Yeah.
Like if you're really scared about it, don't go do something live.
Yeah.
Have something where you're like, I want to go listen back to it. I want to have a couple people listen back to it. Everybody, PR people are so afraid for you to do podcasts and stuff. Do a podcast. It's not live. Tell your client not to do an Instagram live. Like do a podcast and tell and say, I want to be on it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all done those podcasts with these people and they're like, we need to be on it. We need to, and then I go, okay, just let me know if something you don't want is on, don't want it. Okay. You don't have to have it. Like
we can cut
my show is not going to fail because I cut out something that gave you a stomach ache. Like I've had shows where afterwards someone is like walking out the door and they're like, you know what? If we could just cut that part about my ex, I'm like, absolutely done. Yeah. Like I am not here to destroy your life because you got a little too relaxed and said something that, so, but I I'm happy that she's doing well and we'll see. I think, Are you gonna read it?
I already pre-ordered it, Heather.
Because I think that's going to be juicy.
It's going to be juicy. Of all of
the book one, the business one. What was the other one?
There was sewing. There was Bethany's. Oh, and then the other one was Leah McSweeney's book, Chaos Theory: Finding Meaning in the Madness, One Bad Decision at a Time. I mean, she is.
I did not. Theory. When does that come out?
This also comes out in April. So these books are all coming out between the end of March and early May, all in the same 6 weeks.
Again, I think everybody's smart to do a book. So everybody their whole life thought they had a book in them. So do the book when someone offers you the money, do the book. And I don't know, she could have, listen, did you ever see the movie 28 Days with Sandra Bullock where she's an alcoholic?
Yes.
Whenever that movie comes on, I love it until she goes to rehab.
Yeah.
Then it's like so boring.
Yeah.
So like if Leah has some good, crazy, like drinking, I screwed this guy, I woke up, I didn't know where it was, or something funny. Like if she has some juice that she's been saving for her book. The thing is though, so many people have spilled everything already. Like what do you have for the book? So, and now are you spilling just advice, whatever? I don't know. But sure. I don't know. I think it could be a good book. I don't think it'll be a hit because I don't think she has that big of a following.
Yeah.
For a housewife.
She's still too new in the housewife game
yes.
to really have that. And she didn't have a great second season. New York's not on the air right now. Had she been a fan favorite and had the show been airing right now and we watched her journey of writing the book, I think there would be more of an opportunity for her to sell a lot more. But now she's really going to have to carry it on her own. Yeah. Thank you so much, Heather. I really appreciate you giving me this hour of your time. So grateful. Where you have your tour coming up? What else do you want to pimp out?
Everything's at heathermcdonald.net. Juicy Scoop is every Tuesday and Thursday. Of course, my Patreon I've been doing for years. So you just go there and join that, and you have access to all the past years, all the episodes, and at Heather McDonald on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. It's all at Heather McDonald. And come see me in Tempe this weekend or at Brea, California, March 25th to the 27th. And the 27th is going to be a live Juicy Scoop, which I don't do those that often. I mostly just do stand-up. So that's where I have all my fun comedian guests come, and you never know what we're going to do there. So that'll be really fun.
I love it. Go listen to Juicy Scoop, sign up for the Patreon, go see Heather on tour, and go give her a follow on the TikTok. I love your TikToks when you have your sons in them and they're like, so like, leave me alone. They're so funny. I love it. Thank you guys for listening to #NoFilter with Zack Peter. You can follow me at Just Plain Zack or follow the show at No Filter with Zack. Grab your tickets to see me and Adam Newell live. Go to spillingtealive.com. Get your tickets. Our first show is going to be April 7th at the Bourbon Room in Los Angeles, and we're very excited. And if you haven't done so yet, go and stock up on some Housewives watching wine at nofilterwine.com. Heather, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody listening to this. Give me a 5-star review because I love that validation. And I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.